Hello everyone. In this second part of mechanism of contraction of skeletal muscles, I will be focusing upon the structure of contractile proteins, in which we'll see the structure of thin filament first. Thin filament is composed of three different types of proteins: actin, tropomyosin, and troponin. As you can see, actin is formed of the clustering of globular actin molecule. The filamentous actin or the actin helix is formed when globular actin molecules come together. So let's see another image which can tell this better. So these are the globular actin monomers, and they form dimer and a trimer in the presence of magnesium, and finally a helix is formed. This is referred as filamentous actin. Then there is tropomyosin. Tropomyosin is a double helical protein which coils around the actin molecule, and its main function is to conceal the myosin binding site present in the actin. As you can see, these dark spots present in the middle of these balls, these are myosin binding site of the actin. So main function of the tropomyosin is to modulate actin myosin binding. And there is then third protein called as troponin. This is a trimeric protein with three subunits: I, T, and C. Troponin I binds to the actin in thin myofilament and prevent myosin to bind with actin in the relaxed muscle. What I am saying, see, I have taken a single molecule of actin with myosin binding site here, and this site is concealed by tropomyosin as well as troponin, but a particular subunit of troponin is preventing the myosin binding site to bind with the actin, that is I, troponin I. Then there is troponin T, which helps in the binding of this troponin with the tropomyosin. And then there is another subunit, troponin C. It is the calcium binding subunit that initiates the sequence of conformational change in the thin filament. This subunit is very important, and how it initiates the conformational change we'll see in the coming slides. And regarding tropomyosin, as I have already said, that tropomyosin is alpha helical double-stranded structure which binds to actin and modulates actin-myosin interaction. Unlike thin filament, thick filament is made up of just one protein, and that is myosin. As you can see, it has a tail-like structure here, which is of 100 nanometer approximately, and then there is head. These heads, when oriented in a snake hood-like position manner, it is also referred as cross bridge. This part, the tail part of the myosin, is also called as light meromyosin. This is light meromyosin, LMM, and this part is also referred as heavy meromyosin. This part of the head part of the myosin is also referred as heavy meromyosin. And when myosin molecules are present in the sarcomere, so they are present as if their tails, like they are attached to each other. So this kind of structure is seen. It will be very clear from this diagram. As you can see, this is the thin filament here, and this is the cross bridge of the myosin, which is attached with the thin filament. And by orientation, you can understand that what I was saying here, that both two myosin molecules, they attach to each other with their tails. Now, why troponin C is important would be clear from this diagram. When calcium comes, it binds to the troponin C, which then drags into the one side along with tropomyosin. Since calcium is a divalent cation, so it has a mass. So due to this mass, this entire troponin and tropomyosin complex drags to one side, and due to which the myosin binding site gets exposed, and finally now the myosin head can bind with this. The myosin head can bind with this. So this is clear from this diagram. As you can see, this is the myosin head, and this can finally interact with the actin. Now we will study about the sliding filament theory, which is the backbone of this mechanism of muscle contraction. And for contraction of the muscles, opening of the sites is one thing, but energy is also a very important parameter. So as you can see here, as we have discussed, that myosin has got two sites. One is actin binding site and another one is ATP binding site in it. The ATP binding site has got ATPase activity, means it can break ADP, it can break ATP into ADP plus inorganic phosphate. So when the myosin head attaches to the actin, when this ATP is broken down into ADP and PI. So at that moment, myosin head attaches to the actin, and now this myosin head, it forms a pivot-like structure and it pushes the actin towards the middle line. If you remember that structure of sarcomere, so this myosin head pushes the actin towards the middle line, M line, and the energy for this pushing or sliding is provided when ATP moves from here. The inorganic phosphate generated in the previous contraction cycle is released, initiating the power working stroke. The myosin head pivots and bends as it pulls on the actin filament, sliding it towards the M line. Then ADP is released. Once ADP is released, ATP comes, and ATP is important for the relaxation. So when ATP comes, the myosin head detaches from the actin, as you can see, and when again contraction is needed to be started, then as ATP splits into ADP plus PI, the myosin head is energized and cogged into the higher energy conformation. Now we will see from where does this ATP comes from. So if you think of an athlete, he must be like using his muscles throughout the day for during practice, during the actual sessions. So for relaxation, ATP is must. So from where that huge amount of ATP comes from? So the answer is creatine phosphate. Creatine phosphate or phosphocreatine is a phosphagen. Phosphagen are high energy phosphate compounds. So what happens, phosphocreatine, when ADP comes from any source, means either it comes from this place from where it was released or from any carbohydrate metabolism. When ADP comes near the phosphocreatine, then phosphocreatine donates its phosphate to ADP to form ATP and creatine is dissociated. Now this is a magnesium dependent process. ADP comes from myosin or from carbohydrate metabolism, as I said, and there is a condition called as rigor mortis. Rigor means stiffness and mortis means condition after death. So, or post-mortem rigidity is a case when the ATP and phosphocreatine gets depleted, muscles can't really relax and remain stiff. Now, these are the things that we would be looking in the part 3, and there are some basic definitions as well in this. First we'll see the biochemical events during muscle contraction, Cori cycle, motor unit, neuromuscular junction, single muscle twitch, all or none principle. We'll also look into the graded potential principle, summation effect, types of contraction, isotonic, isometric, tension, muscle tonus, oxygen depth, muscular hypertrophy, and refractory period. Thank you.